Protests are just one part of what some see as the darker side of these Olympic Games. Joining me now to talk more about that is Mike Bako. He's sports managing editor for dailynational.com. Mike, thanks so much for joining us. I want to start with security. We know about the bombings and multiple threats, and we've just learned the U.S. Department of Homeland Security is warning people about toothpaste containers, which may actually be holding ingredients to construct a bomb. And earlier today, Secretary of State John Kerry was asked about security. Here's what he had to say.
We have 140 personnel, government personnel representing FBI, Department of Homeland Security, diplomatic security, consular affairs, embassy, military, all working under the same roof in a coordinated way with the Russians. We feel that everything has been done that can be done to try to guarantee people's safety and security.
Mike, I want to get your reaction to Secretary of State Kerry.
Well, I think from the standpoint of trying to reassure the athletes that are going over there, there have been just months and months and months of bad press and certainly international bombings and incidents that have gone on. So, of course, he wants to put forth the best face on these Olympics. As he mentioned, they're working in partnership. Mitt Romney, who headed his own Olympics with Salt Lake City, said that he would have no problems going there either. So in terms of putting forth a good face, I think that the U.S. government, John Kerry in particular, is doing that. And I think they actually believe that because they are working somewhat hand in hand with the Russian government.
Mike, you mentioned bad press. Of course, how do you feel about the human rights anti-gay laws? How is that going to play a factor in these games, do you think?
I think you saw how it's going to play in terms of who President Obama put forth to send as part of our delegation. Billie Jean King not going now because of family issues, but President Obama made that statement almost thumbing his thumb in the face of Putin by saying, hey, if these are going to be your policies, if this is going to be what you are putting forth as your PR efforts, I mean, almost comically going so forth to say that they don't have any gay citizens there. I think the mayor of Sochi went so far as to say things like that. You know, it's bad publicity from the Russian standpoint, and it's bad publicity for Putin. These are really the Putin Olympics. Even though they're taking place in Sochi, he wanted them in Sochi. Everything that is going on, everything that is coming out of any official's mouth is really being put forth by Putin.
And Michael, this is already by far the most expensive Olympics in history at $51 billion. Now we're getting reports of buildings, specifically hotels, not being finished, rooms without running water or even doors. Is this going to be a disaster in a sense?
I think if you look at the immediate reaction of the press that are over there now, you look on Twitter, you look at pictures of yellow and sometimes green water coming out of the faucets, some hotel rooms that don't have working plumbing. If you look at some of the accommodations for some of the athletes, certainly not on par what you found in past Olympics for the summer or for the Winter Olympics, almost on par with a community college dorm room. So these are not the accommodations. Let's leave the press off to the side. These are not the accommodations that you want for athletes who need to be at the top of their games, for families that are going over there. So certainly bad reports this first day coming out from the press that are over there. You have some hotels that aren't finished. You have a cultural center in Sochi that is just a skeleton of what it really was intended to be. They actually put a tarp over it with a picture of what the cultural center was supposed to be. So certainly not getting off to a good PR front on the first day.
Now, Mike, you mentioned past Olympics. You also talked about the press, and I went back because this seems like a constant theme to me, and I found this headline before the 2012 London Olympics. London Olympics hit with a series of problems before the first event even starts. Then I went to 2010, Seattle Times headline, "Whoa, Canada." Vancouver Olympics dealing with a myriad of woes before the games even take place. Isn't this a constant narrative that we see before the start of any Olympic Games, and then after the games are over, people kind of tend to forget this stuff?
Yeah, people paint it with a rose-colored glasses, if you will. If they turn out to go off without a hitch, you look back to the Athens Games. At that time, terrorist warning at the highest absolute level. Certainly the geography of Athens, you had different terrorist threats and elements. Certainly at the height that it is now in Sochi, certainly things that have gone on. So it'll be up to what goes on over these next 2 weeks. That's going to be the story of these Sochi Games. But going into it, this is not just reporters showing up and not having the proper soap in their hotel rooms. This is just a systemic you mentioned before, $51 billion going into these Olympics. There are more palm trees in Sochi than there were snow. They're busing in snow. They're training in snow. I mean, these are not the where you would really want the Olympic Games to take place. This was a strong arm move by Putin. I mean, it was awarded to Russia, to Sochi, but the proof will be in the pudding. So far, not off to a good start.
What lessons has Sochi taught, perhaps Rio for 2016?
And they have their own problems.
Yeah, they do. Well, so what lessons can they take from this?
Well, I don't think that Rio will learn any lessons. They're having their own problems in terms of getting stadiums built on time. They're having their own problems with the World Cup that's coming up. So I don't think any lessons will be learned by them. You would hope that the Olympic Committee would learn some lessons from this, but they have their own problems in terms of corruption and the way that their organization is run. So whether lessons are learned by this, we don't know. You have to look at 4 years and 8 years down the line with the upcoming cities. Certainly the bad publicity that Sochi is getting right now in this moment, certainly you would hope that the upcoming Olympic Games for the summer and the winter would learn some lessons from them. But if everything goes off without a hitch, this will be swept under the rug, and I think it'll be status quo for the upcoming Olympics that are coming up, as you mentioned, in Rio and other places.
All right, Michael, thanks so much for your insights.